This is Rook jumping at 16 inches. Let's take a look at Sarah's handling choices here. She starts off with dog on left. Front crosses while the dog is in the tunnel. This is a nice time to front cross or blind cross. And then you see that as the dog approaches the jump, Sarah comes to a stop. This is to cue a nice turn here at the wing. As the dog approaches the next jump, Sarah begins her front cross. And the front cross is a nice move because it creates a turn to the correct end of the tunnel and completely eliminates the dog taking a look at the wrong end of the tunnel. Once Rook is in the tunnel, Sarah quickly moves to her 270 position. And you can see here that she completely ignores this jump and instead puts her body right next to the wing that she's going to attack. And she's going to face that wing. And by facing that wing, she doesn't give the room any dog to squeeze. She doesn't give the dog any room to squeeze between her and the jump. So the dog is going to take the 270 instead. Once the dog is committed, she moves to the next obstacle. And here she goes for another front cross. This is a very nice move here because the front cross again takes away this off-course jump behind her. And then rear crosses the tunnel. Nicely done. Here are some alternate ways of handling this particular challenge sequence. This is a young golden retriever jumping 26 inches, very inexperienced. So here in the opening we start with the rear cross. And as we send the dog in this direction, we're going to cross behind and head toward that wing. Now, as soon as the dog is in the air, we can move on to the next part of the course. And in this case, it'll be to indicate this jump. As the dog is taking off for that jump, we indicate the next obstacle, so that we're always watching the dog's takeoff point. Now, since that dog will be headed toward the wrong end of the tunnel, we're going to use this arm to create a throttle maneuver, which is going to draw the dog toward us. We rotate a little toward the dog rotates towards us, and then you can send the dog into this tunnel after you've pulled him off of the incorrect entrance. Here you line the dog up for the approach to the 270, preferably by staying out of your dog's line. A lot of people will swing their dog around their body, so rather than stepping here, the handlers will stand here, but that'll create a longer path for your dog. It's preferable to stay out of your dog's way so they get a nice straight line and can minimize the amount of yardage that they take. So if we back this up, you can see that the handler is pointed with his entire being at this wing of the jump. And by sealing to that wing, it lets the dog know to go around the backside rather than cutting across here. Now, as soon as the dog is going around, you see that the dog is committed here. If we draw a line through this jump, the dog is about to pass the plane. The handler is free to move to the next part of the sequence. So the dog cues the next jump, uses deceleration to try and create a wrap here. but what you'll see is a very inexperienced dog, so that when the handler opens back up and starts to move toward the next obstacle, all the dog sees is handler motion, which the dog views as a green light to move forward, and the dog has his eyes or her eyes on this jump. And so the dog has legitimately two different ways to take it, as a backside or this way. And you can see the dog takes it as a 270, which is the wrong jump there. So now on the very next repetition, and yes, I did reward the dog for her effort there. We run through everything the same. Get to our 270, move into position, and what I'm going to do here, which is where we had the mistake last time, you can see that the dog again is already locked in on the wrong obstacle. I'm going to call the dog to my side, or from a different perspective, call the dog to me. And here I'm using a pat on the thigh and the dog's name, and you can see the dog look away from the off course, look toward me, and I redirect her toward the tunnel. So we'll take a look at that again. So some of you may need something like that because your dog tends to drive forward very easily, or doesn't turn well, or is a very large striding dog.